To the families and friends of the graduates, your love, your sacrifice, your support, your hard work, your friendship, you have made this day possible for the graduates. Let us salute the families and friends. We can give them a standing ovation, you know. Thank you, families. To the graduates, this is your day, your success, your achievement. This is your day. Congratulations, Presidio Graduate School, class of 2014. As you know, and as has been said through your studies, you have equipped yourselves with the tools to transform our world. This school has provided you with the education to build more conscientiousness, more responsible, more sustainable systems. Your training will empower you to affect change big and small, great and granular, and we have already seen the potential of your ideas to make a healthier world and to strengthen our communities. From fostering local markets to building zero-waste economy, from expanding diagnostics to fight disease, to promoting livable communities, it is clear that the true capstone of your work here is innovation, determination, and compassion that shines in everything that you do. Thank you for that. Today, we celebrate not simply the culmination of your coursework, but our confidence in your leadership. Wherever your next steps take you, whether you go into public service, which I highly recommend, or the private sector, which is very important, we know that you are the leaders we need to be the new leaders for a new world. And today, your leadership is urgently needed on a subject that has been mentioned, and I'll spend a little moment on, and that is the subject of the global climate crisis related to sustainability. We live in a planet under siege, caught in an accelerated climate crisis enabled by the worst brands of denial and cynicism. A crisis that already assaults our harvests, our coast, and our ice caps. Rising temperatures, droughts, longer droughts, more frequent floods, fiercer fires, surging seas, and shifting seasons are taking a growing toll on our planet. Action is long overdue to address this crisis and avert greater degradation. But there is opposition to that. But there is good news, too. Just last week, Pope Francis spoke on humanity's responsibility to the earth. He said, creation is not a property which we can rule over at will, or even less, is the property only for the few. He said, creation is a gift. It is a wonderful gift that God has given us so that we can care for it and we can use it for the benefit of all, always with great respect and gratitude. Safeguard creation, he said, because if we destroy creation, creation will destroy us. Now, even if you do not believe that this is God's creation, you know that you do believe that we have a responsibility to pass on the planet to future generations in a better way than we found it. Sadly, we have often been poor stewards of creation, and we have permitted great imbalances to grow within it. Our challenges in climate, poverty, and global health are formidable, but we are formidable people, especially you. In the spirit of Presidio Graduate School's founder, Stephen Swig, we recognize that the reality, the collaboration, that respect for community are necessary to solve our problems. To move forward, we need everyone at the table. Steve was always talking about community. We're always reminded that the word unity is in the word community. So if we're going to come together, we have to have everyone at the table. Do you say that all the time? Is that why you're laughing? Is that yours? I cribbed it. Thank you. We need the business community and the environmental community. We need business and environmental, business and labor. We need science and religion. We need every aspect of our civic and economic and political life at the table. When we were putting together legislation on climate, at the table we would have across from each other concerned scientists coming to the table with the evidence of what was happening and what needed to be done, across from the table from the evangelicals who were there saying, as the Pope has said, they believed that this planet was God's creation, and hence we had a moral responsibility to be good stewards of it, almost mirroring the Pope's remarks, except this was a number of years ago. And they said, as we fight the climate crisis, we must do so with measures that are not harmful to the poor. That was part of their sustainability message. Not just about the sustainability of nature, but what it meant to people, or part of nature. Throughout our history, America has always stared down enormous challenges and summoned the tenacity, the audacity, as our president would say, and the creativity to overcome them. We must do this now on a global basis. We are the inheritors of a legacy of innovation and determination that stretches from our founders, who were these great disruptors. They established a country that had never been even imagined before, founded on the principle that all people are created equal, fought a battle against the biggest naval power in the world, and won, declaring independence. They were disruptors. That's a beautiful word. And that created the American dream, and our greatest generation protected that freedom, and now on to the present and beyond. President too. Next week, speaking of the greatest generation, next week I'll be traveling to Normandy to mark the 70th anniversary of D-Day landings, D-Day, the 6th of June. That great turning point in the Second World War. It was absolutely essential that that be successful. As we honor that day of valor and sacrifice in the service of freedom, we remember the courage that is our heritage and our pride. Time and again, our country has come together to achieve the potential of our present, honoring the vision of our founders and worthy of the aspirations of our children. So we must honor the work of our men and women in uniform, and we must have a courage to fight for sustainability in a world without war. War is the biggest enemy of sustainability. Let's have a world without war. And now to your president. To all of you, with your leadership, your ideas, your dedication, your determination, we must work hard to harness the power of the public and the private and nonprofit sectors to work in partnership to confront our challenges. I loved William's mega sector, bringing it all together. Oh, wasn't that great? I'll steal that from him. You take the unity. You know what it is when you steal something? The first time you credit President Jutland. The second time you say, a wise person once said, and the third time, it's all yours. I can't wait. From private enterprise comes the creation of wealth and jobs. And from the creation of wealth and jobs, the public treasury is achieved. And because the public treasury is achieved, we Americans have the capacity for public action. Thus, the public sector is able to address those challenges beyond the means or scope of the private sector, whether it's public education, public safety, public transportation, public health, the court system, and some of the other items that have been mentioned, thereby securing an environment in which the private sector can then succeed and flourish. The connection, this dialogue, is the source of our strength and the engine of our progress. For when we summon the full energy of our society and our economy, there is no obstacle we cannot surmount, a recurring theme, no problem we cannot solve, no future we cannot realize. I have spoken to some of the captains of industry, the biggest names in the world in terms of business and industry, and asked them in terms of sustainability or in terms of our technological preeminence in the world, are they concerned about what is happening in other countries in terms of their education systems and their engineering schools and others? And the response I get is, I think, important today for you. And what they say is, that's interesting. It's important. I'd be more concerned if they had a business model to go with it. And that is what this is about, the business model for sustainability. It has to be market-oriented. It has to attract capital. It has to be something that the public sector can invest in research and development and other entities that enable the private sector to flourish. But again, it has to be able to flourish. So when we talk about government, think of governance. Think of governance. Think about how we have public policy. In fact, if it were not for DARPA, we wouldn't have the internet. If it wasn't for ARPA, we wouldn't have so many of the economic, the energy, much of the progress that we have seen. And if it weren't for the Telecommunications Act of the 1990s, we wouldn't have Google and Twitter, you name it all. It all sprang from public policy. But that public policy has to be sensitive to the ramifications of its actions. But if you only have the private sector without the governance, from time to time you might see the degrading of the environment, fights for clean air, clean water, food safety. You might see a disparity of income that is unconscionable. You might see abuses on Wall Street, not by all, not to paint everyone with the same brush, but that need a cop on the beat. So this is a collaboration. And again, God bless the nonprofit sector for the leadership and the work that it has done. Speaking for the nonprofit sector, this is probably the most agile sector because it can make decisions. It can employ research done by others, whether it's the public or the private sector. And it can move quickly and in ways that create models for both the public and the private sector. So I love the meta sector and how it all works together. What we do all recognize is the respect that our society has to have for all of these sectors in order to thrive in our time, and the great partnership that exists between public and private. We really did not compare notes about our speech, right? There's a recurring theme here. We must share. I'm a little more on the governance side than, but you would expect that, right? We must share in the responsibility for the protection and the betterment of the world. After all, the most durable future will be the one we build together as a community. And recognizing how important unity is in that word. So let us unite private enterprise, public responsibility, nonprofit values to set a more sustainable course. Let's lead in innovation and new green technology and developing systems and business practices that integrate the environmental and social responsibility we need. Let's build an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy and privileged few, raising ladders of opportunity for everyone who wants to work hard, play by the rules, take responsibility to achieve the American dream and to strengthen the middle class, which is the strength, the backbone of our democracy. Let's unleash the power of women in our economy. All right. Because as President Obama has said, when women succeed, America succeeds. And let us welcome the invigoration of newcomers from all over the world to our society. So that entrepreneurship that is America, and that part of that entrepreneurship is to welcome new ideas, not shut them out. Let's work together as you have done, as Presidian's public, private, nonprofit, in dialogue, in partnership, building a sustainable future for generations to come. You here, and I'm so excited because you're the future. You have leapfrogged over so many other steps along the way. You embody the potential of a deepened connection between private enterprise, public sector, and nonprofit values. It is reflected in the strength of the Presidio, where your school is. The Presidio, the campus on the Presidio is a public-private partnership built to serve as a trust, this great jewel of a national park here in San Francisco, ensuring a sustainable and vibrant future for generations to come. It was not met with open arms. On the right, there were people who said, sell off the Presidio, and on the left, there were people who said, we cannot exact rent to help pay for the Presidio. It should be always a public expense. So we had to fight on two flanks to say no, public-private partnership is the model that we want to use, not only for here. And when other people around the country say to me, let me see how you did that so I can do it, I say, no, do it in your spirit of entrepreneurial. What's important about it is it sprang from the need and the challenge that we had here. So copy our fact that we were entrepreneurial, that we were inventive, that we were courageous, but don't try to copy something, just copy the fact that we took a bold step. And it is exemplified in as I said, it's reflected in the strength of the Presidio, this connection. It's exemplified in the success of California, from the boom of the gold rush to the bounty of our agriculture, from the creativity in film, what a resilient economy and society, one thing to the next, to our innovation in technology again and again. Our public and private sectors have been creatively employed to the benefit of our society and the world. And it is represented in your graduating class itself. Presidian MPAs and MBAs trained together and committed to a common goal of responsibility and sustainability. Typically divergent disciplines united for a brighter future. As we consider the challenges and choices before us, I'm reminded of something that I read in a book called The Ascent of Man by Jacob Bronowski. He wrote in a collection of essays in the history of human thought, quote, "We are really here on a wonderful threshold. The ascent of man is always teetering on the balance. There's always a sense of uncertainty whether when man lifts his foot for the next step, it is really going to come down pointing ahead. Standing before you, men and women, graduates of the Presidio Graduate School, class of 2014, I know we can have faith in our future. You give us hope. You can have confidence, and you give us confidence that our next steps are pointing ahead. Thank you for the hope that you give us. Thank you for the hope that Presidio Graduate School gives us. Almost. Entrepreneurship, take risk, be bold, dare to fail. That's a learning experience. Entrepreneurship, values, determination, and optimism. These are qualities you brought to the Presidio Graduate School. You brought them with you, and they have been strengthened here. And these are the values and qualities that you will carry through the rest of your lives. As you leave here today, I know you are confident in the knowledge that your studies have empowered you to be change agents for the sake of progress and justice. You may not know what opportunities await you. Some of you may, but not all. But when those opportunities present themselves, be ready. We talked about that upstairs? Be ready. After I graduated from college, my husband Paul and I were married. We had 5 children. I never imagined that I would go from the kitchen to the Congress. Did you imagine that, Steve? No. I mean, we knew each other. We all knew each other then. From the kitchen to the Congress, from homemaker to House Speaker. President, President, Vice President, Speaker of the House. Homemaker to House Speaker. But I was ready, and I want you to be ready. My wish for you today is that you know your power to change and be changed, to inspire, to shape the future with your ideals and your optimism. You are the original. There's nobody who can make your contribution. Know your power. And my wish is that as you make this change, that you enjoy every minute of it. Today, let us remember our men and women in uniform, and let us build a future worthy of their sacrifice. Congratulations to you and to your families, to the Presidio Graduate School. Enjoy this day. May God bless all of you. May God bless America. Thank you for the honor of being with you today. Thank you.